What we witnessed in the House of Commons has shocked people across the country. Labour MP Kim Johnson stood up in Parliament and made remarks that many have described as nothing short of outrageous. Instead of condemning extremism, instead of standing up for Britain's values, she used her platform to complain about the killing of a man who was no ordinary politician, but a Houthi terror leader. This was a figure who had openly called for violence, who had declared hatred for Israel and for Jewish people. A man tied to one of the most destabilizing extremist movements in the Middle East. And yet, in Westminster, in the very seat of our democracy, an elected Labour MP rose to defend him. Rather than focus on the threat posed by the Houthis, Kim Johnson turned her criticism onto the British government and its support for Israel. That was the moment the chamber erupted, and it's why this clip is now circulating everywhere. Let's take a look, but first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Have a watch of this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The UK is the pen holder on Yemen. So can the Minister explain why the government still continues to support Israel when they have admitted to the killing of Yemen's Prime Minister and other ministers and causing widespread devastation? Widespread devastation. What steps has the government taken to support Yemen in achieving peace, reconstruction and development and ending the humanitarian crisis?
Mr. Speaker, I would just like to clarify for the House, because there's been a number of different reports about this. We believe it is the Houthi Prime Minister rather than the Yemeni Prime Minister who has recently been struck. The Houthis, as the House know, are a threat not just to the people of Yemen, to the region, but also to international shipping. I've engaged closely with the Yemeni government, including both the previous Yemeni Prime Minister and the current Yemeni Prime Minister, who I'm happy to report is still alive.
What you've just seen has left many MPs, commentators, and ordinary citizens asking serious and uncomfortable questions. This isn't some small slip-up. This isn't just clumsy language in the heat of debate. This was a deliberate choice of words spoken in the most powerful political chamber in the land. And the question is this: how can it be, in today's Britain, that elected members of Parliament are speaking in a way that appears to legitimise terrorists? How can it be that we are hearing sympathy for individuals who openly declare their hatred of Jews, who chant death to Israel, who encourage violence and bloodshed? This wasn't an off-the-cuff remark. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment lapse in judgment. It was a prepared intervention, carefully written, thought through, and then delivered with intent. It carried the full authority of a sitting member of Parliament standing under the crest of the House of Commons, with the cameras rolling and the record of history being written. And that makes it all the more serious, because this moment doesn't exist in isolation. It adds fuel to a growing fire, a fire that raises doubts about whether Labour, under Keir Starmer, can really be trusted to uphold the values this country is built on. Values like rejecting extremism, standing up against hate, defending our allies, not our enemies. When a Labour MP chooses to use their platform not to denounce terrorism, but to complain about the death of a terror leader, it speaks volumes about priorities. It speaks volumes about judgment. And above all, it speaks volumes about the moral compass of our political class. Think about that for a second. In a Britain where families live in fear of knife crime, where communities wrestle with grooming scandals, where anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise, what message does it send when members of Parliament appear to side with those who glorify hatred? What message does it send to Britain's Jewish community, to our allies abroad, to the public at home who still believe in basic decency? And that's why this moment matters so deeply. It isn't just about one MP's speech. It isn't even about one party's internal divisions. It's about what it reveals, the cracks at the heart of a political movement that wants to run the country, but time and again seems willing to look the other way when it comes to extremism. For many watching, it feels like a line has been crossed. A line between holding legitimate debates on foreign policy and offering cover, however subtle, to those who openly spread hate and violence. A line between opposition politics and a collapse in moral clarity. And once that line is crossed, the damage is done. Trust is broken, confidence in leadership is shaken, and the question becomes unavoidable. If this is what Labour MPs are saying now in opposition, what on earth would they tolerate if they were in power? In other news, the government is unable to calculate the total cost of a secret relocation plan it set up following the Afghan data leak, according to Britain's public spending watchdog. The National Audit Office, NAO, said the amount dished out on the scheme has not been recorded separately from other resettlement activities in the Ministry of Defence, MOD, accounts after the fall of Kabul to the Taliban in 2021. In April 2024, the government set up the Afghanistan Response Route ARR for people in the country whose details were leaked in error by a defence official in February 2022. The scheme, separate from the main Afghan relocations and assistance policy, ERUPTS, and is estimated to have cost £850 million. In a report, the NAO said the government had failed to provide enough evidence to give the watchdog confidence in the figure's accuracy. The watchdog stated the Modi is not able to determine exactly what it has spent on resettling people through the ARR scheme. This is because it did not separately identify the cost of the ARR scheme in its accounting system, meaning that these costs were not visible in its management accounts, but instead included them within its total spending on Afghan resettlement activities. The MOD said it avoided differentiating the cost to comply with an unprecedented super injunction. Estimations suggest around £400 million on relocating people through ARR so far, and will spend an additional £450 million. Around £128,000 will be spent per resettled individual, of which an estimated £53,000 would be met by the MOD. Almost 19,000 applicants for the original ERUPTS scheme had their details leaked in the breach. However, the NAO said at the time it had not provided us with sufficient evidence to give us confidence regarding the completeness and accuracy of these estimates. The total cost to the MOD of all Afghan resettlement activity between 2021 and 2029 is forecast to exceed £2 billion. Between 2021 to 22 and 2024 to 25, the Modi recorded spending a total of £563 million on Afghan resettlement schemes, including the ARR scheme. The government closed the ARR scheme in early July 2025 to new applications, and at the end of the same month, it estimated that 7,355 people would be eligible for resettlement in the UK through the scheme directly as a result of the data breach. The Liberal Democrats stated the country needed answers to how this breach happened under the Conservatives' watch, and what steps are urgently needed to tackle the confusion and chaos at the heart of the MOD. Lib Dem Party defense spokeswoman Helen Maguire said, "Not only has the MOD put thousands of lives at risk through its bureaucratic blunders, but now it can't even tell the British public how much taxpayer money those blunders have cost. This is exactly why we need a full inquiry." The Modi has also admitted to 49 other data breaches in the past 4 years, handling relocation applications from Afghans seeking safety in the UK. 4 of the 49 breaches were already publicly known, including a leak exposing a spreadsheet containing details of almost 19,000 people fleeing the Taliban. A MOD spokesman said, "We are committed to honoring the moral obligation we owe to those Afghans who stood with us and risked their lives." Since taking the decision to support the lifting of the super injunction brought by the previous government, we have been clear on the costs associated with relocating eligible Afghans to the UK and are fully committed to transparency. The cost of all Afghan resettlement schemes, including the Afghan response route, has been fully funded as part of the government spending review. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.